Happening this morning, a special meeting over a tentative deal between the city of Minneapolis and the U.S. Justice Department.
Now, if approved, it could bring expansive police reforms to the city. This comes 5 years after the murder of George Floyd sparked outrage in Minneapolis and all around the world. Our Pauline Lee joins us from the live desk with a look ahead. Pauline, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's going to be a closed-door meeting this morning that starts at 8:30 a.m. Now, the city says the council will be briefed on a tentatively agreed-upon consent decree, and that's a legally binding document mandating major changes to the department. Now, in 2023, the DOJ issued a harsh 89-page report that showed a years-long pattern of racial discrimination. The department found MPD used excessive force, including unjustified deadly force, and discriminated against Black and Native American people, as well as people with behavioral health disabilities. Now, what's happening today, the Minneapolis police chief says, isn't new, as the department has been under a court-enforceable agreement for the last year, which is essentially the state's version of a consent decree. Now, the chief says he's confident the department will be able to implement the DOJ's possible resolutions moving forward.
I want not just what's in these documents, I want what's right for our officers and what's right for our community. And that is changing how people are experiencing policing on the street. And I think we've made great progress with that this year.
Now, local group Communities United Against Police Brutality is expected to be at today's closed-door meeting, and leaders there plan to share their thoughts publicly afterwards. It's important to note that the leaders there say the council is expected to vote on the consent decree after the meeting. That is a possibility, but the council members could also choose to take more time to review it. Either way, we're going to follow all of it. We'll bring you updates as soon as we get them, guys.
Right, and of course, we'll be following that all throughout the day for you, right? Pauline, thank you.
4 years ago, violent insurrection rocked the U.S. Capitol as the world looked on. Well, today, Congress will convene to certify the 2024 election results. This is for the first time since rioters stormed the Capitol, some threatening to kill key members of the Senate. We know D.C. police are stepping up efforts to make sure it never happens again.
On the eve of January 6th, President Joe Biden spoke to new Democratic members of Congress in Washington.
The day that most of our history we took for granted, the 6th. But I hope we never take it for granted again.
President Kamala Harris, she will preside over today's certification. This, of course, just 2 months after losing the election to Donald Trump. Meanwhile, over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago, the president-elect spoke at a screening of a new documentary questioning the legitimacy of the 2020 election. Trump has promised to issue pardons to many of the more than 1,500 people charged with crimes in connection to the January 6th riots.
As for the current president, today he plans to visit New Orleans to meet with victims, families, and officials. Meanwhile, the new video from the FBI shows the self-proclaimed ISIS supporter who killed 14 people in New Orleans on New Year's Day. Take a look at this. The FBI says security cameras showed him placing several improvised explosive devices inside coolers all around Bourbon Street early New Year's Day. Those devices did not detonate because of a mistake he made putting them together. That's according to the FBI.
He didn't use the correct device to set it off. And that is just indicative of his inexperience and lack of understanding.
And in just October of last year, the attacker used Meta smart glass, you see him right there, with embedded cameras to record these videos of Bourbon Street plotting his attack.
Developing this morning, medical examiners are looking for what led to the death of a man who was found dead in a car that had crashed into the Mississippi River. Now, we were there as crews tried for hours to remove the SUV from the river. This is up a very steep embankment near 33rd Street and West River Parkway. Park police say that officers were called there around 8 o'clock in the morning around the crash. The man's identity has not yet been released.